All right, season 3, episode 7, These Fragile Lives. Um, yeah, I mean, quite a bit happens here. So,
A lot. Yeah, I
yeah.
would say a lot happens.
Yeah. Um, so we start the episode where we left off with Fatima realizing that, or not, I shouldn't say realizing,
Being
being
told
told
that she does not
that
have a
she is not
baby.
pregnant.
Yeah.
And she's like, I'm not hysterical while acting hysterical. Um,
She's scared.
I get it. So
Yeah.
she, of course, isn't listening to anyone, running out of the place. This
Mm.
is frustrating. I mean, we all act
Irrational when we're
yeah.
scared.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I get it. It's just when no one is doing anything that they should be doing
Yeah.
anywhere in the show, it becomes a bit tiresome,
Mm.
right? When no one's communicating in the proper way, like if it's a character here and there, if it's episodes once in a while, but it just feels like I feel like emotion outweighs logic too often, right? Like when we watch movies have a very short runtime,
Mm.
and so therefore for that short amount of time that people are reacting to the craziness that's happening around them, it's justifiable.
Mm.
But when you're 3 seasons in and people literally have weeks, months, years to sit on things, to process things, to go through things, to communicate. They have endless time for so many different, uh, you know, forms of exploration. It just feels very frustrating to watch a whole bunch of people, like the new ones, Acosta, the cop, or something like
Yeah.
that. I can understand. She just
Sure.
got there, right? She killed someone. She's on edge. Is she likable? No, but maybe that'll change. I don't know. But when you're dealing with characters that have been there for months, years,
Yeah.
and they still can't seem to communicate, to properly process the impossibilities of things. I know that the walls can feel like they're closing in around you, but for people who are level-headed other times within the show and have kind of grown accustomed to their surroundings and the reality of the situation, it gets fairly annoying for the emotions to outweigh the logic so often.
Yeah. I mean, I think with Fatima, she's like very clearly not herself
Yeah.
because otherwise, like I said in our last episode, I, in the past, she's been a very understanding and relatively calm person. So I think this just kind of shows again that she's not really in control of her reactions. And obviously, at the very end of this episode, she is very out of control and does something that she would never do.
Right.
So I think her lashing out and her like inability to communicate, at least for her, is a result of like what's happening to her. But yeah, I mean, we've talked about like over the course of the show, like over each season, it is very frustrating to see so many like miscommunications because it does feel like people just aren't um they're not taking the time to like really talk about things that are happening, especially when those things are like really crazy or out there because they're in such a bizarre situation already that it's like you might as well talk about those things and consider them as possibilities,
Yeah.
even if it isn't that. They're kind of doing that with Fatima, though. They're saying, like, look, it's one of two things. Like, either she's, like, the place broke her and she's just kind of, like, losing it, or there's something else going on. Like, they keep referencing the worms under Boyd's skin. Um, so, like, they're kind of doing that with her situation, but yeah.
So there's a couple pretty big theories here of mine now, having watched this episode, and it has to deal with Fatima. So we have 3 people who were in this comatose state: Randall, Julie, and Mary. Um, Randall is having his freak out seeing the bugs.
Yeah.
Julie is drawn to the ruins of the
Hmm.
basement that they were being held in when they
Uh,
were in their comatose state, right? You can see the archways
yeah.
that are similar or the same as the ones that they were like tied to or whatever.
Yeah.
Um, and Mary, not really much of anything
Not
thus
yet, at
far.
least. Yeah.
So this begs the question of, is Mary under some kind of control by these people, having being somebody that is in charge of medicine, who's
Mm.
in charge of, administering any kind of drugs or health or whatever? I do wonder, because there are these antipsychotics, right? So we have Ellis comes in to the uh, the hospital or whatever the hell you want to call it, and he tries to grab these pills. These are pills used for schizophrenia.
Mm.
They tell him outright, like, if she takes these, it could make it way worse, right?
Yeah.
Like, if you're not schizophrenic
Yeah.
and you try to take schizophrenic medication,
Yeah.
it can really fuck you up. So I definitely wonder if Mary is doing anything to
Mm.
people, because she was the one treating Randall.
Mm.
She's the one that's helping and treating Fatima.
Mm.
And she doesn't, people are worried about how Fatima's reacting, but we could have a snake in the grass
Mm.
with Mary, who was pretty easily susceptible to voices in her head because she was a drug addict, because she already kind of is gives in to the the voices in her head previously. I definitely think there needs to be an eye kept on her. So that's theory number one.
Yeah.
Thoughts?
Yeah. I don't think we've seen anything from her that makes me like super suspicious as far as like her behavior goes.
Yeah.
Like she hasn't done anything that seems like malicious or just like, confusing or anything that I remember at least this season. I think she's just been kind of regular as far as all things are considered.
Yep.
But that's a good idea. So I mean, she is like in charge of the medicine and like, yeah, she's administering that IV drip to Fatima and everything. So maybe something's in there. Same thing with Randall. Like that's definitely a possibility, but yeah, I don't know. We'll have to see what else happens and like if she starts acting oddly or giving us more reason to be suspicious of her.
Yeah. And then theory number two, which is the big one, I think it's like the big thing to discuss here that I was thinking about while I was, going over the episode in my head. Um, so when Dale went through the tree, he ends up in the pool. When Boyd goes through, he ends up trapped in a like chimney or well or
Yeah.
whatever the hell it is. And when Tabitha goes through, she ends up on, at the lighthouse and is able to get out.
Yeah.
You have Fatima, who now thinks she's pregnant. She does the things that she does, and then she's going to have to run because, of course, Donna was like, I don't even want her in the house. And now
Oh,
she's
yeah.
killed somebody.
Yeah.
So, of course, she now is not to be trusted. She's going to be the new Sarah. So, where's she going to run to? My theory now has become that the only people who can pass through the tree are people who have given birth, who are
Hmm.
pregnant or have been pregnant. Um,
So, okay.
or even maybe even have the potential of being pregnant, maybe just women, but maybe her pregnancy is purposely induced in her
Hmm.
because it's not even there in her head. Um, I mean, I definitely still think that she possibly is turning into one of the creatures,
Yeah.
right? Because she craves blood, and it definitely seems like when they hollow people out, when they kill them, that they're eating their insides.
Yeah.
And that's what they feed on, and that's what she seems to be craving. And she goes straight, the wound is in the abdomen, but that's like where she's going for, is in that area where they get their food, their sustenance, is what it appears to be anyway. But I do wonder if, like, because there's that fighting control between, I think there's the good and the bad, right? We talked about this, how there's like the evil, and then the
Hmm.
you know um angels that are helping them,
Mm-hmm.
right? Like for instance, when Acosta is in the diner, she is very perseverant, and like Kenny is being very nihilistic and trying to um, dissuade her to kind of cope quicker, to be like, look, we've all thought of everything, which we're gonna get to that because I think that's pure nonsense. But like I get it. He's feeling very nihilistic anyways because his mom just died. But then the radio comes on and it plays that song, and the lyrics are something along the lines of like, um, it's an optimistic song
Mm.
about like sticking with things,
Mm.
right? Like almost encouraging her to
Mm.
continue, almost to give her a boost of morale.
That could be kind of like in a dark way, though.
It could
It could
be.
be a
It
mocking
could
thing.
be. But like maybe
Um,
the jukebox is being controlled. You can fight over it. You can fight over the radio station. Like, two drivers or two people in a car like fighting over the radio. Like sometimes it's, celebration, right? Celebrate good times come on when Kenny's mom dies. That's antagonistic, no doubt. But with her song, it felt more encouraging. So it
mm.
definitely makes me wonder if like at certain times the good comes in and is like trying to pep people up, and then other times the evil can come in and take over depending on like the energy that you're putting out into the world.
Yeah, maybe. I hasn't Victor gone through the tree? Gone through one of those trees before?
Yeah, but he never got out,
No,
but
but
mothers are being
my
drawn.
point was that like so because you were kind of saying that like the men that went through are getting trapped in places.
I just think that they're not having success,
But
that
if
they're kind of
Victor
getting
has been able to
teleported.
teleport, even though he hasn't maybe gotten out, but if he's been able to like go places with the tree without being trapped, I don't know what that would mean necessarily. But it's an interesting idea. I
Yeah.
do think Fatima might maybe end up in there. Like I I could see that happening for sure. Um Also like when she's like in her bed with the IV, like she's being hollowed out because like her stomach
Hmm.
starts to kind of go in
Yeah.
and she's looking extremely like skeletal
Emaciated.
and
Yeah.
emaciated.
Hmm.
And then what you were saying about Kenny, I don't think Kenny's nihilistic. I think that he's trying to be realistic. And I think he's trying to just kind of give her this like I don't think he's trying to discourage her necessarily. I think he's just trying to be like, look, like we're not idiots. We've all wanted to get out. We've all thought about these things. Like because she's kind of approaching it like, why aren't you trying? Why isn't anybody doing anything? And he's like, we have been trying. We did try. Like I think he's more coming from that perspective.
Yeah.
And she's a new person. She's very angry and just upset that she's there and doesn't want to like admit like she even like outright says like I'm not going to get comfortable here,
Hmm.
which is fine for her to be in that mentality because I also think that even though everybody might have thought about these things before and like gone through this process, I think every new person that comes in they bring something different with them like from their life's perspective or
Yeah.
like for example like Tabitha obviously like she's exploring these dreams she had as a kid. Like
Yeah.
we don't necessarily know that Acosta like that she hasn't had something happen in her life that relates to this place or could give them like a new, like avenue to go down basically.
Yeah.
But I don't think Kenny's nihilistic about it or anything. I think she's just like really angry and I didn't like her at all this episode actually. I
Yeah.
really don't like how she's acting around Boyd. I just feel like in general I feel very like on Boyd's side for a lot of things
Hmm.
because I think he's really trying his best to keep everybody safe and like kind of keep a like semblance of order because without it everybody would just freak out and
Yeah.
like kill
Devolve
each
into
other and
chaos.
lose their minds or whatever.
Uh-huh.
And I think that her approach is like super disrespectful and like I understand why she's mad and I understand that she's like I want my protection, but I also just think that she's being like so just rude and
Disrespectful. Yeah.
assumptive or whatever that word is,
Assumptive.
assumptive about like how everybody's like their roles and like why they're there and like like what they've already been doing. And she if she wants to help, which I think that she does ultimately, I think she could kind of maybe tone it back a bit. But I'm also like this is like her second day or third day or something there. she's like very new into the whole situation, so I think she's still kind of going through the process. But
Yeah.
yeah.
So the reason I think Kenny is just blatantly in the wrong here with this is like over the last however long he's been there, yes, things have been very repetitious. He lives in a very redundant life, right? And everyone has tried everything. But that's not applicable anymore because
Mm-hmm.
just in the last week, you've had major events happen that have completely shifted how this place works and how you can conceptually conceive of this place. So to act like we've tried everything and we all have been in your place when someone literally just got out of town and returned with other people in the last week,
Mm-hmm.
to say all of a sudden, like, we've done it all before and you don't think we've all thought of the things that we've all done, blah, blah, blah. Are you out of your fucking mind? We literally just had the most major development that has ever happened in the history of this place. And you're now grandstanding on this idea that there is no other way but the ways that we've tried. This is pure nonsense. This makes zero sense to me. The fact that people aren't focusing more on what just happened is fucking asinine to me. It's one of the show's weakest points thus far. Tabitha got out of town. She was out. She literally did what every single person there wants. And we're not talking about this enough. People aren't focusing on this enough. She got out of town. To say to this chick who was one of the people who brought Tabitha back that we've thought of it all, we've done it all. Clearly not. What are you talking about?
I think they are focusing on it. I mean, I think we had like a whole they the whole town basically was like, we're gonna go to the tree, like we want to leave.
No, but that's
And
the
then
point. But
when
that's the
somebody
point. When
leaves, they get killed.
he's still being Mr. Doom and Gloom.
I
Like,
definitely
I
don't
don't
think that's
know. That's
his.
like, I've thought of it all before. Like, just get used to it.
I don't think that's
That
his
is a
attitude at all.
hundred percent how his attitude was. What
Not
are you
to me.
talking
Not to
about?
me. No, like I said, I don't think that he's like nihilistic. I don't think that he's like defeated or
Oh
anything.
my god, I don't see
I
how
think
you don't
he's
see
just
that.
trying to be like
He's
a
it's
realistic,
very
like,
defeatist.
not to, I don't know, to me,
Everyone there should have tremendous amounts of hope, knowing now that getting out is possible.
sure,
This should
yeah.
shift your entire mindset on this place. It's like
Well, but
finding out
that's the thing though,
that there's
is
no
that
God or something
there,
after you're like a firm believer in
yeah,
it.
but
It would shift your whole
it's like you're
reality.
forgetting, like literally they did, and they were like, okay, and then he goes through the tree and dies. Like that's what Tabitha did, and he didn't get out. So that's the whole point, is that like, yes, they have hope, but they're like, what do we do? Like, what did she do differently? Like, she just went through the tree and
They
got
need to be
out.
sitting down and having
I
more
agree, but
meetings
I'm
with
just saying
her
that like
and going through
there's a
every piece of
reason there's a reason
information.
why they're kind of like hesitant now, is because somebody has died in a really horrific way from trying to follow in her footsteps. So, and Jade and her are the ones that are trying to figure things out and get through like what the mystery of her dreams mean and this place that they've
Yes, and
discovered.
that's why Jade is the
So,
most interesting character in the show
yeah, I think
because
Jade's the one
he
that's
is the
trying the
only one that's
most.
actually
Yeah.
trying to get out of there relentlessly, like me. I think that's what it comes down to is that I am the Acosta. I am the Jade character. I don't quit.
But all
Kaylee
these
knows me
other
well enough to
people,
know that I never stop. I will never quit. I am relentless in my pursuit of things. And it's just very frustrating when there's such a new development for people to kind of default back to what to shit that we've been doing for seasons. That time has passed. I feel like we haven't entered a new era of the story when something so monumental has happened. I just feel like there'd be more of a character shift. When we were talking about it, when I was like, oh my god, they came back to town, everyone's going to be different. I feel like no one is fucking different. I feel like they look at it as like, oh, that's interesting. Not doing what everyone would be doing and being like, holy shit, someone got out of here.
I mean, we don't spend a lot of time with a lot of the like background characters, so I don't think we necessarily know like what those people would be thinking, but as far as like all the main characters, there's a lot of other things that are also distracting. Like they're concerned about food. Like they have to be able to like survive and like be alive in order to get out. So there's that whole situation that's being dealt with. There's the fact that multiple people have died recently. There's Fatima and everything that's going on with her that's distracting. And I think that like a lot of the main players like Boyd and Donna are like concerned with the safety of everybody at large, whereas you have people like Jade and Tabitha, you know, and even Victor, right? Because Victor's also off trying to kind of discover something that might be helpful. And you know, even Elgin, like he's kind of going on this, you know, but he's not telling other people about it, obviously, because I don't think he even knows like what it means. Although it does seem like this episode, he's kind of starting to get some type of understanding, because he's led through like a haunted photograph
Yeah.
to this, you know, the whatever it's called in the
The root cellar.
yeah.
Mm-hmm.
And he discovers that room, and the drowned woman is there, and he finds a body and everything. So I don't know. I think that people are like different, but I think that the biggest thing that the show does is just how miscommunication and fear can really mess things up. And like it doesn't matter how much you want to get out or how much like you want to be saved, like if you can't talk to each other and like have trust in each other and like really like be open about things, like you're not going to get very far, which is why we're seeing that only these like small groups are like able to make like little discoveries on their own, because everybody like at large has like such conflicting thoughts and feelings, which is
Yeah.
shown by that episode when they're all together attacking Tabitha, right? Like everybody is like, we want to get out, and they're all judging her for what she did. I just think that that's like what's happening at overall.
If we go back in the show to the episode when they're all trying to build a tower for
Yeah.
a radio communications array, and the whole community is involved in this project because there's hope.
Yeah.
Once again, finally, there's hope, and everyone is working together, and there seems to be a sense of community. There seems to be a sense of you know, oneness to them. The fact that that isn't on display now, when there's something that happened that is even so much more hopeful than a signal maybe you could pick up, that, oh, if we could talk to someone on the outside, I think I could maybe get voices out there and try to triangulate our location and to come to save us. You know, somebody got out.
Yeah.
Like, that happened a few episodes ago, and people are like more concerned over like Fatima's pregnancy than they are the girl who literally left this place. I don't know. It just doesn't seem like enough people are like as obsessed with this as I would be.
I think
I would
that
be like, we need to sit down and we need to literally go over absolutely every single thing that happened. And if you leave out one detail, I'm going to string you to a fucking tree and let the monsters eat you. Enough with hiding secrets from everybody. The fact that anybody is even worried about what anyone thinks of them at this point, with everything that's going on, the fact that you're not just outright coming forth with all the information you have, is so illogically frustrating to me. Like, we're not in the real world anymore. And this isn't new to so many people. You have to sit down and be real and say, look, nothing I say is going to make sense, but nothing makes any sense. And I think everyone can be like, you're right, 100%. Like, I can't anymore believe that the rules of the old world need not apply anymore. We need to have a honest conversation as people who are serious about getting out of here. And when you have somebody who has gotten out of there, that now should be the entire focus of the entire show. The fact that we're just going off and like, you know, Randall's trying to teach Julie how to drive, and like they're sitting down and doing ultrasounds. Like, no fucking way. Somebody got out of town. This is not a big enough deal. They like had one talk in a diner that went nowhere, and then they all just kind of dropped it. Jade's like, oh, let's look into it further. But everyone else is like, back to business as usual. I don't know. I just don't buy it. Anyway, All right, let's get off that point. Unless you have something to retort.
No.
I figured not, but okay, anyway. As far as Elgin finding that location and the drowned woman coming and kind of leading him there, at least that's what we think. So if you look around the room is very old. The body that's in there is wearing clothes that are like newer than the room would suggest. Also, the body is covered in a blanket after death. The room is blocked in from the outside. So someone either placed them there or they were trapped in there and died under the blanket themselves. I mean, that's possible.
Mm.
But someone had to have put them there, or the tree took them there and they were, locked behind the door and couldn't get out. The door didn't seem to be locked
No, it
from the
didn't,
inside or anything, so
but
I
it
feel
had
like you
the
could open it up and push the dresser out of the way. So I don't think that's what it is. It feels like someone purposely moved that dead body into that room, covered it with a blanket, and then, that seems like a place that was originally designed to stay away from the monsters,
yeah, it
right?
looks like
That
it's a
it's a
hiding
hiding
place.
spot, right? You can close the dresser, hide the door,
Yeah.
hang out in there. There was maybe a couple people that were in there, and then when someone died, they covered up the body and moved on. Whether that was Victor in the past, I don't know. But I don't really know what more to take from that than what we currently have. I mean, we've seen people in the past, right? Like we've dealt with so many different time periods. The room that he's in definitely looks fairly like old timey. It looks like a prison cell from like Alcatraz almost.
Mm.
Um, so I just feel like this is another part of like the ruins of ancient civilizations that have been part of this world that have been sucked in, right? Because
Mm.
you have like the 50s diner, you have the mining operation place that's from the like 1800s, you have the building ruins that they found that look like they're from like, early settler days. You have all sorts of different time periods that are like moving around throughout, and it seems to expand and add
Yeah.
to it, or they're finding them because they're being led there. Because Julie even says, like, "Don't you feel it?" She feels like she's led there, and Randall, I think, is lying when he's like, "I don't feel anything."
Yeah, I think that there's more of a focus this season on like the structures and why they're there because obviously Acosta's like questioning like why is there this and why is this there
Yeah,
and Victor's dad is like why is there a hotel sign but no hotel.
yeah,
So I do think that there's going to be something about like the buildings and how they arrive there. Like maybe there will be a new building that shows up at the end of the season or something. I don't know. That would be interesting because it does seem like they come from different time periods and like they're sort of just teleported there or something because
maybe
it's
they're
very
maybe they're
mismatched.
places that had like great misery attached to them, and so they were pulled into that world.
Maybe.
Maybe
Yeah.
these are locations, right? Because like you have the pool with the car in it,
Right.
right? So like a car crash and
I
someone
think
like
that
laid in there and died slowly and like,
I thought the car happened like while it was there.
oh, is that
I think
okay?
so. Yeah.
Yeah, I think you're right. Someone
Yeah.
crashed. Yeah, yeah,
But
they
it could
talk
still
about
be
that.
related to like
Or maybe someone
some
drowned in that
sadness or
pool.
something. Yeah.
I
I
was
don't
just
know.
thinking about like because we see the guy under the rock, and we, these different locations that we see could have had these big events of
Yeah.
like sorrow that brings these places into
Mm.
that world.
Mhm. Yeah, maybe.
I don't know.
It's an idea.
It's an idea. Maybe it's not a good one, but it's an idea. Um. Anyway, I feel like Tabitha talking about her dream. I think this is foreshadowing
Mm.
for something to come. I think that either it's going to be her more than likely, or it could be someone else, her kid, Ethan, whoever is going to be hiding from whatever other threat, which could be, Fatima or whatever Fatima
Mm.
may be carrying inside of her. It might not be growing in her womb. It could be growing in her stomach, something along those lines. But yeah, I think that someone is going to be hiding, because remember when they spend the night in those what do you want to call them, the like pilgrimage huts.
Yeah.
I don't know what to call them.
Yeah.
The foundations. Um, when they're in there, they hear noises that
Yes.
don't sound like the monsters,
Yeah.
right? And when Tabitha talks about her dreams, she talks about like a monster or something she can't see,
Yeah.
and she wakes up before anything happens, and she's hiding from
Yeah.
it. So and it happens to be in that area where they're hearing different noises.
Right.
So I think something is coming. It's probably something that's growing inside Fatima, or
Mm.
maybe Fatima herself is going to be chasing after people and killing them,
Mm.
and Tabitha or someone, probably Tabitha, will be hiding behind that rock when it happens. I think that's a foreshadowing moment in the future that's going to happen in this season, because she foresaw it when she was. The only reason I'm hesitant that it's not her is because she sees, it happens when she's a kid,
Mm-hmm.
and she sees herself as a child, which of course she is a child. She doesn't see herself grown up like
Right.
she is in the future. So maybe it's a kid,
Yeah.
maybe it's Ethan. But I still think it's probably, I guess it could be her other child, Julie.
Yeah.
But I think more than likely it's going to be Tabitha that's hiding behind that rock, and it's going to be like, oh shit, this is the moment.
Yeah, I think her dream's gonna come to life. Or like happen in real life rather.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And Elgin is going to have to be there. He's going to be led to be like, some assistance to
Mm.
whatever's going on there, because he's obviously being led
Mm-hmm.
to answers
Yes, he is.
that will combat
Play
this.
into something later. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think so.
Because the picture behind uh, Fatima
Right.
is the drowned woman. I don't know why we call her that. I don't know where that name came from.
It's because she's like all wet.
Yeah. She, I think she has to do with what's going to be happening in that little village with Tabitha
She's
behind the
probably gonna
rock.
run to it.
Yeah, I mean,
What's she's just
she
gonna
could
run
go through
off.
there. She's gonna
Maybe
have to go
she's what
somewhere.
runs.
I mean, what time of night is, what time of day is it that she kills
It's almost dark
Tilly?
because I know that Randall and Julie are still out, and they're like, we got to get back before it gets
Well,
dark.
sure, because when
And
Tabitha
so
comes to the
the clinic.
no, when she goes to
Oh,
where
sorry,
Jim
that little
is,
village,
the
the extra
village.
with
How
the
about the
red
village?
rocks.
The village. We'll go with the village. When she goes to the village, they're starting to walk back
Right,
because
because
it's
it's
getting
gonna get
late.
dark. Yeah.
Right. So
So
if if
if
Fatima is
Fatima, yeah,
killing Tilly, then it's going to be night soon.
yeah,
They don't have a lot of options of places to go.
right.
She's not going to be able to go into Colony House.
No, she's probably gonna just run away into the woods.
Tilly says you got to run or something like that.
Yeah, I don't know why she says that, other than just like, I know you. It was an accident, but like
They're going to take you.
they're gonna
Yeah,
like
yeah,
blame you for it.
right.
So I assume that's what she means.
I mean, Tilly always seemed to know she was gonna die,
Well, yeah,
because she gives
it's
up her morphine, and she's like, by the time I need this, like, I don't feel like I'm gonna need it anymore because I'm gonna be dead. Um,
yeah, I think she's very like, I think her getting there, she's just kind of been like, oh yeah, this is like gonna be where I die. And also because she has the cancer diagnosis, I think she's like a lot more accepting of the fact that she might die.
yeah, I think the
So,
schizophrenia medication is probably hers, because when she got there, she was acting very weird.
it has a
Remember?
different name on the bottle. It's like M something though.
Yeah, but Tilly is short for like Matilda, or
Oh. Oh,
right.
maybe. Yeah. I don't know whose medication that is, but we definitely see a name. We
It's like
see. I
M. Anderson.
thought it was a P. The
The
last name was a P. Started with a P. But
was it?
maybe you're right. But
Oh, maybe it's not
but like yeah,
Anderson,
there is a
but
shot that
it's an
like very
initial of
clearly
M,
shows M and then a last name to like,
whatever the last name is.
draw some
But who's
somebody.
M?
I mean Mary,
Mary, yeah.
but I don't know.
But that's not the kinds of drugs
It
that
could be
she
somebody from the past too, because
could be.
like I don't know.
I don't know. Yeah. I don't know why that would matter. Like,
I don't either.
I don't know why. Like, if it is Tilly's, let's go down that road of trying to show us who the medication belongs to.
Yeah, for
I
her to
think,
then die.
I mean, it's possible they're showing us what the medication is,
Sure, just
right?
the
So that we can
name.
see that it's schizophrenic medication
Yeah,
and that the name is inconsequential.
yeah,
That's possible. But if the name is why they're showing it to us, and it is Tilly's, short for Matilda or something like that, I don't, I haven't connected the dots to why that would matter now that she's been stabbed and is probably dead.
right.
Right. So,
Yeah,
like, if she's schizophrenic. I mean, she's the tarot card reader. She's the this and that. That's what brought her there. If she's dead now, it doesn't really fucking matter.
yeah,
If it's Mary's, I mean, that can show you that she's very susceptible. But I would think that her girlfriend, Christy, who is, a registered nurse, would know her girlfriend's diagnosis as a schizophrenic.
yeah. You would think. You would definitely think.
You would definitely think. So, and then I think the I think the black woman who we never really talk about who's in this show
Yeah, I don't
is
remember
an
her
M
name.
name as well, but I can't remember what it is at the moment. But her character is so inconsequential that
Uh,
I don't see it.
she
Like,
seems like she's becoming more. I don't know. She's
she's
getting bigger
becoming a
parts.
character to some degree, but
Yeah.
to like make it a oh my god, it's her
Right.
when she's been so minor seems like a stretch to
Yeah.
me. Right? So I don't know why the name is important unless it is, but I mean, I don't know. Mary, we don't know her name, like her last name.
I don't know her
We don't
last
know.
name.
We don't know almost anybody's last name.
No.
So anyway, what else do I got here? So we can move on. I feel like Julie and Randall maybe being set up for a romance kind of thing for a minute, but maybe not now. He's seeing the bugs. Julie wasn't. She was also in that state with
Yeah.
him. So you feel like if anyone would have seen them
It
with
would
him,
be
it would
Julie
be
as well.
her.
Yeah.
She does not.
She doesn't.
And yeah, I don't know. I don't think it really matters because the romances in this show, that's not a focus of the show, right? Like Kenny and Christy is the only romance that we really focus on all that much dramatically. And then when Mary shows up, there's that relationship drama.
Mm-hmm.
And then of course Jim and Tabitha's like marriage is kind of falling apart, and then
Yeah.
Ellis and then there was a little bit of a love triangle thing going on early on with Julie
Right.
and Ellis and Fatima.
Yeah.
And we thought maybe there was gonna be like a menage a trois relationship going on.
Yeah, we weren't sure.
That never ended up obviously transpiring. So I guess with the romances in this show, it's not really much of a thing. So I guess that even if Randall and her do end up being a thing, I don't think it's much of a focus, or
Yeah.
is it ever even going to really matter all that much thus far? There hasn't been a focus on any kind of romance in the show. And then yeah, I mean that's pretty much it.
Mm-hmm.
Lot of different little theories and whatnot. Um, yeah. As far as like people going through the tree, what do the numbers mean? I mean, we didn't touch on that at all
No.
in this episode. Um, the the idea of moms going through the tree, and getting further in because Victor's mom was drawn there as a mother.
Yeah.
Tabitha was talked to and drawn there and taken out. Fatima is now being made to believe she's pregnant when she isn't.
Yeah.
Like, is this like some phantom pregnancy that allows her to pass through the tree as she's on the run? Even though she's not pregnant, but she is this like we talked about how her soil is infertile
Right.
and she is able to still grow something, whatever that is. I don't know, but I don't know. So there's a lot of things to mull over, but that's our talk on this. Anything more?
No.
Yeah.
That's everything.
So theories, what do you guys got? We got 3 episodes left this season, and hopefully we get some more satisfying answers. But
Hopefully.
yeah, that's that. All right. We'll see you in the
Bye.
comments. Bye.